Welcome to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we discover on the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today's very special guest is a singer, writer, actor, bilingual storyteller, and poet. So, surprised she ever gets some sleep. She's going to be
I
joining
don't.
Miguel Angelo at Joe's Pub on October 14th and 15th for Celia Cruz 100, Miguel Angelo's Icons. Very proud and honored to announce that my guest today is Adriana Medina Santiago. Adriana, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, my dear. I'm very excited to be on.
I've been hearing a lot about this upcoming show, so we're going to get into that a little later and how much fun it's been rehearsing for that. But I'm very curious
Yes,
because
totally.
you do so many things and you like delve
Yes, I
into so many
do.
creative outlets. And so what really sparked your first interest in performing and writing and all of the
Mhm.
above?
So that's actually a really interesting question because I feel like for people, they either have an introduction, like just to all, and then a very strong familiarity with one. For me, when I was little, when I was 3 years old, I literally told my mom, I watched Wizard of Oz for the first time and I was like fixated on Judy Garland and I just could not stop studying her. I would ask my mom to post clips and then I got into Ella Fitzgerald and then I got into Carmen McRae and all these other Etta James, also like all these incredible blues and jazz artists, and I sort of taught myself how to sing. And around that time, my mom was like, "So what are you gonna do? Like, what do you think that you want to be when you grow up?" And like she thought that I was playing around, but I certainly was not playing around. And I was like, "Mom, don't worry about me. I'm gonna be a singer, a dancer, and an actress." And she was like, "Okay, girl, well, I don't have to worry about you." And I was like, "No, you don't." And also I started studying Puerto Rican artists like La India. And like from there, I just taught myself how to sing and almost mimic these artists. I wasn't really familiar with Broadway until middle school when there was this program, an after school program in Los Angeles, because I was born in Puerto Rico. I was born in Mayaguez, Puerto Rico. I had a stint in Texas, and then I was raised in Los Angeles. And around that time, middle school, I started doing this after school program called The Taste of Broadway. And that's when I was like, oh my God, you guys, this thing exists where you can sing and dance and act, and it's called Broadway. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I know that I'm good at, singing. I know I'm good at acting. I know that I can hit a passe. I know I can do a little 1-2 dance. I know I can do that. And my love grew from there. And in high school, I feel like I didn't have the money or the assistance necessarily. I was in AP choir, nerdy, I know, but I loved it. In my high school, I was in AP like theater essentially, and I was just doing everything that I could to get as much information about universities and like pursuing drama, but I had no idea the money that it would take. And I didn't have the money. I didn't have the understanding. Nobody was really like all the people that went to my high school were going to go to finance and to be lawyers and to be doctors. And they were all going to go to UCLA and USC. And was not that person. And they just were not equipped to help me and could not understand what these kids go through every year, like unifieds and auditions and getting your resume ready. So my first year of auditioning for universities, I did not get in. I got into PACE academically and I went. And that was the year that I joined MTCA and I got really serious about college auditioning. And then I had a very big decision to make because this is where I started to learn my love actually for straight acting. Like for straight acting, and I didn't think that it would hit me as hard as it did, but I was deciding between Rutgers for straight acting and Pace for musical theater. And I had this really weird interaction with Pace where they were just sort of like withholding my yes or no. It wasn't even like, was I waitlisted? It was, I think they were trying to make room for me until so many of the Pace musical theater students went into the director's office at the time and was like, you need to accept Adriana or else. And I was like, oh my God. And she called me in for an interview. By this point, I was already accepted by Rutgers. I was already like familiarizing myself with this campus, which was weird for me because I'm truly a city girl. I was raised in Los Angeles and then New York felt like the city for me. And at any point when I felt like I had to leave New York, I started watching Sex in the City and I was like, I can't leave New York. Like, this is me. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it. And I was like, okay, but it's a wonderful school, like it's a wonderful school, Adriana. You're literally going to be fine. Stop being dramatic. And I spoke with the director at the time for Pace Musical Theater, and she just like was like, you're the sophomore who's in the acting program who wants to go to musical theater. And I was like, no, girl, I am the freshman in the just academics. I want to transfer into musical theater. It's been my passion. This would be my I was like, okay, she all right. And she just was like, okay, why do you like this and why do you like that and where are you from? And then she was like, are you accepted anywhere else essentially? And I was like, yes, Rutgers. And she stopped and she was like, that's an incredible program. And I was like, yes. And she was like, you'd be going for straight acting. And I was like, yes, girl. Like that's where I would be going if I'm not accepted here. And she was just like, do you know the reality? Because I think that PACE does teach you the reality of dealing with budgeting, auditioning, rejection. They teach you so much about resilience, which is why I think so many kids coming out of PACE are so prepared. And she was like, do you know the reality of that? And I was like, not only do I know the reality of that, but I embrace it because I don't think that Broadway's this fictitious thing. I know that you have to train every single day and outside of graduation, and I'm ready to make those connections now. And then I walked out of her office, and what I didn't know is that the majority of the acting that we receive at PACE is from students of Rutgers. And so then I got accepted. And while I was there, I just thought I could be one type of artist. I thought I could only exist as one type of artist and the academics at Pace were so good. And I had this English class and this poetry class where I was going through a situationship, as the kids would say. And in my dealing of like processing that, I started writing. And not only did I started writing these poems, and my friends were like, Adriana, this is like really good. And I was like, no, 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 it's just how I process my emotions. And one of my friends at the time was going to Columbia University for comparative literature. And she said, come share your poems and say that you're a student. And I was like, no, I was scared. And she was like, do it. And I did. And some Columbia students were like, oh, you should think about joining we're from the, poetry group. Like, you should think about joining us. And I was like, I'm not a student here. And I ran away, but I was like, okay, I think that. And then I read like Audre Lorde's Sisters Outsider, and she talks about how poetry is innately female, innately Black women. Like, that is what poetry is intrinsically. And I agree. And I was like, wow, how beautiful. I feel that. I feel that every time that I write. I feel that every time that I'm on stage and I'm experiencing a hardship that only a woman could go through. And yeah, and I feel like since graduating, the emphasis on creating your own work, right? Because being a Latina and being in this industry, I feel like I've only ever been in for so many things. And even recently with this film that I was in, that is called Villa Encanto, which we'll get into later. The director, his name is Joel Perez, but I keep having these conversations with him where I'm just like, well, like getting back out there is really insane. And he was like, Adriana, you just have to create your own work. You just have to do it because nobody else is going to do it. And since then, I don't sleep. And I'm constantly thinking and I'm constantly like my wheels are turning about what this industry could look like for Latina people, for people of color, if we just started creating work that's authentically for ourselves and also started financing work authentically for ourselves. And I feel like that movement is starting, and I just want to be a part of it in whatever way I can be in.
Yeah, there's so many incredible nuggets of everything you shared that really stand out. I mean, first, I think the fact that you knew from an early age what you wanted to do and you were confident about it. Like you knew that it was a part of you. And there was no doubt in your mind that no, you're not joking around, you're not just dreaming. Like this is what you're gonna do. And and the idea that, yeah, I'm gonna be fine. And it seems like even in the moments where you were unsure and doubting and not sure what to choose, you were telling yourself it's gonna be fine. And I think the incredible part of hearing it as an outsider to your story is realizing that you made it fine by making those next choices, by making those next decisions, by exploring what else is around you, talking to people, and figuring things out and knowing yourself. I think that's that part of the beauty of it. And I also think what you shared about creating your own content and your own works is a running theme I'm hearing from a lot of people that I talk to and how important that is. Because sometimes, yeah, there's definitely not enough doors open. And so creating your own door to walk through and then holding it open for someone else seems to be the path.
It definitely is. Like it just is. And I think I know we're gonna get into it in like literally a second, but it's just like I I'll tell you more about what this film is about, but I just never thought that this particular role would be for me because I never thought that in my mind leaving a university where so many people are telling me what I should expect and what I should expect to audition for. Never would I have imagined that like a role this vulnerable and this young I would be able to do and take on. It literally had to be another Latino person in order for this role to be created. And I'm just like, we need to do more of this. We need to do more of this because this is the type of work that I want to be doing. This is the type of work that I need, like I think needs to be seen. You know what I mean? So
Completely agree. And I've realized the same lesson in even starting this podcast. Like, I've realized everyone who was on board and we're like, yeah, let's
yes.
do it. They're all Latino. And so it's just amazing that, like,
Yeah.
anyone who's in this industry and creative and can relate to a shared experience, they know what it is to work together, to pull together, and how special that can be.
Yeah.
I think when we
Yeah.
are able to talk to
Yes,
each
they
other and
definitely
display
do.
each other's talents is such a beautiful thing. But those are the beautiful parts, those are the easy parts. And I heard all these little moments that you experienced that were a lot harder. And I know it's an ongoing process in this industry where there's either a lot of no's or there's no response or there's just long dry spells and you'll go from big highs to low lows. And so I'm wondering how you process that and find the drive to keep pushing on no matter what.
That's such a good question because I feel like I am in the throes of that now. And I have a lot of beautiful and incredible Latina women around me, queer Latina women, such as myself, around me, sort of exhibiting the same struggles. And again, I was a part of this short film that was produced by Tribeca Studios, Google, and the Lin-Manuel Miranda Foundation, and it debuted at Tribeca, and I'm the lead in this short film. And you would think that that's really impressive. And all throughout school, I remember looking around at my fellow classmates who were also POC and being like, we are going to have to be 10 times better than the white people who are walking in through that door. We have to be 10 times better than white mediocrity that will continue to be celebrated. And that was a harsh reality, but it's all something that we had to accept. And you know what? We were better and we are better and we still are better, period, point blank. We are the most talented. We are still the most booked. And it's insane because we had to accept that that was going to be the reality. I think that right now with this transition, I think the political climate does affect Broadway. If it affects the entertainment industry and people don't see it. Back to my point about this being very, very cool and awesome and a very big deal. And the response from agents and managers and everything has been, oh, well, you know what, Adriana, we love you so much, but you compete with people who are on our roster. Or you know what, Adriana, you're like fantastic, but we already have you. And I'm not the only girl that's receiving that response. I know these incredible Latina women who wrote and starred and directed in their own films that are produced by these incredible Latino producers and workers in the industry, and they're being told the same thing. And what I can guarantee is that these people do not have us. They don't have us because just because you have one does not mean that you have all. You know what I mean? And I feel like accepting accepting two things. Accepting that we can choose how our career goes by creating the work that we want to make. And we can also understand that this is a reality of the business. And I am seeing a surge of such incredible Latino producers, Latina directors, Latina agents, Latina casting directors that are really making strides. And they are fighting for us. And they are fighting for us tooth and nail. They are fighting for us to be represented. I do have hope. And that's what keeps me going. And also just I think that you have to, and this is sort of what cures imposter syndrome for me, is like just believing that you are an artist who has an important message to spread. My grandmother, she passed last year, unfortunately, and
So
she
sorry.
did not speak English. Thank you so much. I have her words tattooed on my body. She suffered
Mm.
from dementia, and these are the last words that she remembered, which was besos te amo.
Oh.
So I got them tattooed. I love her very much. And when I was growing up, she was so supportive of all my shows. And she would just be like, mi amor, yo no entiendo nada lo que está pasando, pero te amo. Like she was like, I love you so much. I have no idea what's happening on stage, but you sound incredible. And my goal in life, like just in life, was to be a part of something that she could understand. And I will not stop until the majority of my work is exactly that. And this recent short film that I was a part of was that. And so I feel like in these moments where I am told that somebody already has me, or this person, we couldn't get you, so we got this person because they have more connections or whatnot. And because honestly, that's fundamentally what it is. I remind myself, Adriana, you are doing the correct work. You continue to do the work, and if not, create it for yourself. Continue networking, continue finding people who are like minded, and continue finding people that not only you would fight for, but they would fight for you, you know?
Yeah, and that's not always easy. I think especially when maybe you want to be part of certain projects or circles that you admire, that stand out to you, and then you realize maybe this isn't for me. And that could be heartbreaking at first, but I think especially the idea that
Yeah,
other people have this notion that you fit into this box, that they already checked that box, so they don't need another person like you, when in reality, you're you. You bring something that no one else can bring. And I think
right.
keeping with that idea and believing it can be hard to stay believing it all the time
Holding on
because
to
you're
it.
always going to be told in the industry the opposite of that. But I do agree with what you're saying that finding the right people you want to work with, finding like minded people, it's the way to go. It's the way that things are going to change and are changing slowly but surely. But it's changing the game. And I think that's really important. And so I'm really curious now about this short film and what it's about because it just sounds really exciting, and when it means so much to the person in it, that's always, like, the most beautiful thing to me because it means it wasn't just like, "Oh, this is a job, let me take it." No, like, it means something to
No,
you.
right. This, no, absolutely, it did. And the way that it sort of happened was absolutely insane. I think I'll talk about what the film is about and who the people behind it were and who starred in it. And then I'll talk about how the audition came across because it was so serendipitous. Like, I just cannot believe it in the people that it brought my way. So, Villa Encanto, directed by Joel Perez and written by Joy Perez y Sol Crespo. I love you, Sol. And produced by Elena Sardina is a story about there used to be something called Las Villas in upstate New York. And this is brand new information to me. And it's a part of Puerto Rican, like the Puerto Rican diaspora history in New York that should continue to be preserved and not erased. Because I had no idea this existed. And my partner, who was born and raised in New York, had no idea that this existed. Ultimately, the Puerto Rican
Same.
diaspora that was here around the 19 same. Ultimately, the Puerto
Yeah.
Rican
I'm
diaspora
Puerto Rican and grew up in New
that
York,
was
and
here.
no, yeah.
You're like, I have no idea, girl. Tell me what this is about.
Yeah.
So essentially, the Puerto Rican diaspora that was here in New York, it was so expensive, like in the mid 60s or early 50s, 40s, like around that time to fly back to Puerto Rico. It was virtually impossible. So everybody knows and loves the Catskills, but what they don't realize is that we had our own Catskills. We had our own Catskills that we would journey in the summer and in the winter. O sea, los Navidades, nosotros estábamos allá. We were over there. We were partying Kiki, Lala. And the people who got their big break here were El Gran Combo played in Las Villas y Tito Puente played in Las Villas. So this was insane. And also, there is a book, and the historian of this book was part of our film. It was insane. So the story follows Teresa, a 15-year-old girl, me, and my father, Pablo, who is played by Josh Segarra. I love Josh. He's just an insane actor, and I learned so much from him when I heard that he was a part of this project. I like almost passed out, and I was just like talking to him regularly, and I was like, "You're my dad," and he was like, "You're my daughter." Like, what? This is crazy. And I learned so much from the both of them because also I feel like Joelle is just such a wealth of knowledge in this industry, and so is Josh. So the two of them, like being, we had our like first dinner essentially at Adela's in the Lower East Side, and we were eating Puerto Rican food, and Joel's just talking about the history behind this film and our characters and our relationships and the intimacy like behind their shared loss. Teresa's shared loss of her mother and Pablo's loss of his wife. Essentially, it follows our story that we are in a family band. My mom dies. She was the lead singer. And I, instead of having my quinceañera and continuing, my a little bit more like preteen, teenage adolescence, I'm just pushed to the front of the line. I'm the lead singer and I have to take on that responsibility. And not only did I lose my mom, but I lost the death of my teenage years. And my dad is just emotionally stunted, like emotionally stunted Latino father. That's him. And we are in the Catskills and there is a show to do and the drama that comes with that. And I was sitting there and we were talking and I was just like looking at the two of them. I was like, this isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. It is executive produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda and having him like it's like Tribeca partnered with him to do something called Colectivo, which showcases three up and coming incredible Latine directors. And this film was chosen. And I was just so excited to be a part of this that I just could not believe that it was real. And also like I know who I am. I know what I look like. I know that I'm a very flirtatious girl. And I just could not believe that I was able to sit and be naive and be vulnerable and like go back to being 15 and being angsty. Never did I think that that was an opportunity for me. So this film follows both of their stories. And I get to sing in this film. It has original music by Jaime Lozano and it's sort of like a movie musical. It's sort of like Joel would say it's like sort of like Latino Dirty Dancing. And it was very much that. And it's an incredible storyline. And also I think that it showcases such a incredible relationship between a Latino father and his daughter. One that we don't get to see very clearly, but one where, at the end of the film, because I won't spoil much, we get to see them sit in their vulnerability and sit in their emotions. And we get to see a father who loves his daughter and does not possess the language to tell her so, that he is hurting too, that the loss of his wife hurts too, that he misses her every single day, that when he has arroz con gandules, he's still thinking of her, whether or not Teresa sees it or not. And with Teresa, her journey really is I have no choice. I got to make my dad proud. I have to respect my father. I have to be the rock, and I have no choice. And I could have been in Puerto Rico, and I could have been planning my quince with mommy, but I don't have that choice right now. So I just have to be an adult, and the sacrifice that comes with that. And like, wow, what a brave girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody behind this film was just absolutely incredible. And the short film did debut in Tribeca and has debuted in the New York Latino Film Festival. We won honorable mention at the New York Latino Film Festival. And it was just incredible. And the audition process was insane. Last year, I was actually in rehearsals for the first Miguel Angelo Icon series. We were doing Freddie
Yeah.
Mercury. A month before, I had lost my grandmother. It was very, very hard for me, and it was very hard, and I was finding the healing process through rehearsal because I feel like we always play in rehearsal. I'm so excited to go to rehearsal today. Like I'm just like, we're gonna kiki, we're gonna giggle. And I had my friend Sarah with me, and she was friends with Joelle, and we were just like outside eating, and just it was lunchtime, and I see this person like walk across, and it's Joelle, my director. And she was like, "Oh my God, like Joel, you're gonna love Adriana. Adriana's Puerto Rican." I was like, "Tú eres Puerto Rican?" And he was like, "Sí, mi amor." And I was like, "What?" And he tells us about this film that he's doing. And I was like, "That's incredible. Congratulations. That sounds amazing." And he goes, "Thank you." We follow each other on Instagram. I see him post on his story that he was still looking for Teresa. And he was like, "I'm looking for a girl that's over the age of 18 or 20 that can like actually play a 15-year-old." I was like, "I'm gonna see." I was like, "Maybe I can." And he was like, "Sure, girl, come on in." And I didn't know that it was for final callback.
Wow.
And the scene, which now is like cut from the film, was it was like outside. Now it's like in a cabin. She like Teresa runs from something and like from the show that she's in and she confronts her dad and she's like, "Dad, you have no idea the sacrifice that's on my back. Like you just don't know." And it was such an emotional scene that my best friend, their name is Celia Rose Gooding, and they do TV and film, and they were helping me with this audition because film acting and theater acting are just a little bit different. And Teresa had this one line that always got me for whatever reason, and I'll probably start crying right now. But she was looking at the stars with her father, and she just goes, "Oh my God, wow, at least we have these stars here. If only mommy could see these stars." And it's like so small, but it's so significant because it's just having a moment and having a good moment and then immediately realizing it that you want to tell it to the person that's not with you.
Yeah.
And I start crying and I was like, Celia, how am I going to pull it together for this audition? And Celia was like, it's not your job to edit yourself. And I was like, oh. And they're like, what happens is pure and it's real and it's what you're going through. And I had my little Zoom audition, and Sol was in the room, Joel was in the room, Elena was in the room, and I have the scene, and that's exactly what happens. And I was just like, oh, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And they were like, no, please do it again. Please do it again. And I was like, okay. And then I got the call after Miguel Angelo's show that I got the role. And I was through the roof, and it was incredible, and it was the best. And it's been the best ever since. Seeing it in like in a movie theater is crazy. But
Can
yeah,
imagine.
definitely movie musical vibes. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like such a beautiful story, and then the experience that you had of not only filming it, but getting casted, I feel like everything happened for a reason. Meeting Joelle the way you did, and then even, the loss of your grandma, as much as that hurt and you carry that with you, do you think that that translated into performing as Teresa?
I had a friend who recently saw the film at Bori Fest. This was like last weekend. I was working and I couldn't go see it, and she was very familiar with what happened, and she was like, Adriana, you did amazing. And I was like, thank you. And she goes, but you know what? And I was like, what? And she's like, I could tell that at some points you were not acting. And I was like, I was not. In some points I was. We had one day that was so it's the scene where we confront each other. It's the height, it's the climax of the film of me being like, Dad, how could you do this? Like, why did you move me up here? Why am I taking on this role? Why this pressure is so much, don't you understand? And then immediately processing that grief in real time. And it was 8 hours of just crying. And it was so cathartic. And everybody, like we just had such an incredible set. And it was like everybody behind the scenes was a person of color, which is something that I've never interacted. It just felt so safe. And also the writers and the directors and the actors being Puerto Rican, it was insane. Like I just felt safe enough to access that grief and depict it and show it in the most raw and vulnerable and real way that I could. And I think it translated.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that makes or breaks anyone's performance in anything, the people you're working with,
Hmm.
which was going to be one of my next questions, and how essential it is working with others and feeling safe in that space.
Gosh, this is such an interesting question. And I'm literally just trying to see how I can word my response. In this particular film, my makeup artist was and is like a queer non-binary person. Their name is Charles Zambrano. I love them so much. They won an Emmy for Pose. Being in their makeup chair and watching them do my makeup and being like, you are Latine and you're queer and I'm queer and Latina and you're doing my makeup. Like we both exist and we're both in this film. And then the person who did my hair is their name is Corville, a queer individual, and on set they were called my queer parents. They had Swedish fish in their kits for when I needed to come off stage and I was like having an emotional scene. They were like, here's a Swedish fish, Adriana. I was like, I love you guys. For the producer to be also Latina, for the writer to be Latina and Puerto Rican, it was the first time I was receiving notes in Spanish and Puerto Rican Spanish. And I was like, I understand everything. Like, I understand everything. I didn't have to code switch. Oftentimes, I feel like because Spanish is my first language and English, like they were both like at the same time. I get me atrapa la lengua, like I get caught in what I want to say. That didn't happen this time around. Working with these people, I want every project that I work on to be exactly that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think it definitely shows that this industry and your experience in it can be very different from what you were told it was going to be. Which is very interesting too, because you mentioned
Yes,
in one of the schools that they actually prepare you for what everything is like when you graduate. And I feel like in general, many schools don't train you for that, no matter the field you're in. And so
they
even
can't.
even the
Yeah.
emotional like aspects of it, the highs and the lows, I mean, we hear about it sometimes in conversations like this, but your normal every day, you hear it kind of after the fact when someone blows up and they're like, "Oh yeah, I worked for years and I almost gave up and then I got a big break." I'm like, "But no, we're only that easy, you know?"
If only. Literally, if only. I feel like the people I think the people at Pace, the majority of my like professors were not people of color. They could not They just told us it was going to be hard, but they themselves cannot conceptualize just how hard it is. And it was mostly older students coming back and being like, hey, just so you know, if you need anything, this is really tough. And what you need in this moment is community. I'm here. And that was enough for me. Of people outside of the program sort of coming back in and being like, "Hey, where are the Latina students? Where are the Black students? Where are the Asian students? Like, where are the Native students? Like, what's happening? Where are you guys? Okay, I see you. There's a community for you." Because it's gonna be hard, but not only is it gonna be hard, but you are gonna be undermined for how you look, for your race, for your sexuality. You 100% that is going to happen in almost every single situation that you pop into. And hearing that there was a community out there, that you're not alone in that, because that's also another big thing of like feeling like you're the only person in the world who is like, oh, this is happening to me. But no, there's a community and there's a safety net. But I just, yeah, I think that they couldn't prepare us for that because they just didn't know, because they just know that it would be hard, that you had to be resilient. But resilient for what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then even the people who do go through it don't always talk about it. It's easy to talk
No.
about the highs and the great stuff and not always the harder stuff, the stuff that feels very solitary day to day. And so it
Right.
really changes your whole experience and whether you're able to power through those low moments. But it sounds like this experience is just a dream come true. Is there plans for like a wider release of this short film?
I have no idea.
Okay, I hope so. We're
I
gonna keep an
have
eye.
I well, yeah, just keep an eye on it. Just keep an eye on it. Everybody keeps asking me the same thing, and I'm like, you guys, from your mouths to God's ears.
Absolutely. And that's what we gotta manifest these things. Just like I love asking people, what would be your dream role? What's something you would love to
Oh
do?
my gosh. Moritz and Spring Awakening. I want to do a lesbian Moritz so bad. And I told the actor who like originated the role of Moritz that, oh my gosh, please tell me what his name is. I'm gonna look it up right now. Oh my gosh, Moritz in Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening. I literally told him, oh my gosh, who originated that role? I'm gonna. John Gallagher Jr. Yes, John Gallagher Jr. I freaked out because my adolescence was like studying him in high school, and me and my friends would like put in Spring Awakening and just like rock out. And I was like, I identify with him. I identify with being him because it's so interesting. And like that play is so beautiful about how the effects of like repressing sexuality and all the ways that it comes in. And I've always wanted to do Moritz because I was just like, what if we did a lesbian version of Moritz? Think about it. I don't know how that would work in like an all boys school, or like even not me, a trans mask version of Moritz. Now, please, now, please now, or whatever. I love it. I love that role. I've been her before, but I would want to do her again. I understudied Mimi at Paper Mill Playhouse, and I would love to do her again because I think that there's a really different understanding for what Mimi is. And I think that people can just be like, oh, she's like the party girl that's going through it. No. What Mimi represents in Rent, her complexities as a character, her complexities as a woman, I just need to be her again. I need to be her again. And I just need to be her again. That's literally, I just want to be her again. And then I would also say maybe a role that hasn't been written yet. I want to originate something on Broadway that hasn't been written yet. And it'll be my dream role because I'll feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. Manifesting all these things, especially I think when you're able to see a character that maybe has been done a lot, but kind of always done in similar ways. And you're like, I see them a little differently. I always find that really interesting and something that I want to see on stage because it shows that you've thought about this character and their life in a way that maybe even the original scriptwriter didn't, that they didn't put two and two together. Because sometimes it's just a feeling when you're writing a character and they don't get everything that this character can experience.
No, literally, I was watching Daphne Rubin Vega like sort of talk about her audition for Rent, and she was like, "You, as the actor going in there, you're painting the character of what the character is," and that's exactly what she did with Mimi, and the rawness of her vocals. And she was like, "This character is going through something. This character has HIV. This character does not have access to food and water regularly. This character is struggling with addiction, and this character is 19 years old." And I was just like, Mimi is not an over sexualized. I see Mimi done a lot incorrectly. And Oh my gosh, Alyssa Melendez did our Mimi at Paper Mill. She was I feel like everybody should see her Mimi. Everybody should see her Mimi now because what she did with her, we were in discussion of like what would she be going through at this time? What would she be wearing? Our stories of how our different Mimis. And I was like, oh my God, Alisa, like just brilliant, just brilliant, just brilliant. She's a phenomenal actress. But like outside of that, I've just been seeing a lot of people do it, and I'm just like, okay, that's definitely a take. I'm like, but have her complexities forward. She's more than that. She is more than an exotic dancer. She is so much more, you know? Yeah, justice for Mimi.
Absolutely. Yes. We're gonna hashtag it. We're gonna get it trending.
You guys, hashtag justice for Mimi. Yes.
And in terms of Spring Awakening, I think if someone's not writing that version, you gotta write it.
But like let's just like let's have like Moritz and like Melchior, like Melchior is like that's my lesbian best friend. You know what I mean? Like she's not in necessarily in school. She's just hanging around with us. She's struggling though, you guys. Like don't worry, like we're like this. She's really struggling with her mental health. And I'm like, yeah, you guys, I can't sleep and I can't come out to my dad about it. So that sucks. You know what I mean? But there's so many layers. Like, please, I just let me be, please let me be Moritz now. Hashtag let Moritz be lesbian or
Yes.
else
You gotta write
we have
it,
two
cast it,
hashtags.
put it together. I'm gonna look
I
out for the
will.
show.
I'm on it.
You're gonna make
I'm
it.
on it. I got it. Don't worry.
And we've been talking about so many good experiences and having a good time. And you have a show coming up October 14th and 15th, Joe's Pub, for Celia Cruz 100. And I was talking to Miguel about how much fun you guys have during rehearsals, where you
Oh
guys
my
have
God,
to
we're
always
crazy.
remind each other, like, okay, we have to rehearse. We have to rehearse. So tell me what that has been like and what it means to you to be part of this experience.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I will never forget like walking into the room and just seeing all these incredible Latino musicians. And every day that we are there and we are playing, I'm from the Caribbean and we are playing Caribbean salsa and we're like playing these like incredibly historic songs. I'm like healed. Like I swear it's like going to church for me. I have no idea. They start playing the drums for Kimbara Cubana and it's like dun 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 and I'm like she's speaking through me. So like on that aspect, the music is healing. Also the musicians in there, Mayela, Sara, these are beautiful, incredible, talented vocalists. And it never necessarily feels like work. We're learning the songs and we're just grabbing onto them and we're stepping in and we're having fun. When it comes to literally, it's a giggle fest. We're giggling. Miguel is the giggle person in charge. And Miguel's music, his original music is absolutely incredible. And what he's done to tie in his own experience to Celia Cruz is just so beautiful to witness on stage. But it's very heavy, especially now in this political climate. Literally, singing Inmigrantes on stage with everything that's happening with ICE is a shot in the dark. But art is political and art is a protest. And every time that we sing it on stage, I'm like looking at Miguel, Miguel's looking at me, and he's just like, if there's anything that we can do right now, it's this. So it's so heavy that we try to bring like levity in any situation. And at the end of the day, like we are just trying to bring the the queerest version of this show that is so much fun. We are inviting drag queens. Like there's so many things that we do in the show that's not seen or celebrated in the Latino community. And underneath Celia Cruz's color and pizzazz and everything, there she's a queer icon in the Latino community for a reason. And I think that if she was able to see the show, she would have so much fun. She would be with us and our drag queens that we have fun with. It like I just like she would be a part of it in some way, shape, or form. I know she would. And she would be like, Eso vamos. And I have no idea even what we laugh about. We'll just be in there. We'll just be laughing. I think also because Miguel for this show, you'll hear him if you come Matthew, please come and see the show. You'll hear him say Celia
Yeah, I'm
at the
coming
end of a lot
Tuesday.
of songs. Oh my God. You'll hear him say after one of his songs, that's so great. He'll be like, Celia, and the band just started saying Celia in different ways to mess him up. So they'll be like, Celia, Celia, and I'm like, I'm peeing my pants in the back. Literally, they like, please, everybody stop. And then our director, Adrian Alea, he's amazing. He's serious, but like he's laughing with us. He's like, okay, everybody stop. We have to get through this without giggles. No more giggles. We only get one more giggle as a group, and after that, no more giggles. No more giggles. And I was like, okay. But yeah, it's just like we just laugh about everything and nothing, trying to keep the energy in the room as high as it can be, with the understanding that what we're doing with this music has never been done before. What we're celebrating is super important. What we are showing to the Latino community is super important. And we are showing that representation. And we are singing about how everybody here is an immigrant. Everybody here is an immigrant. Period, point blank. And also get on your feet, clap your hands, dance salsa, and dance with our drag queens, and happy Pride.
Absolutely. And, I
That's
think
our
it's
rehearsal.
amazing that it's happening in New York, then the show's happening in Florida,
Yes,
and then in the
yes,
spring,
yes.
Queens College. So it's kind
Yeah,
of all over in all these spots where, yeah, everyone is from somewhere else. And that's so beautiful because I feel like it's these like hot spots of people who can really feel what the message and the power is with this music.
definitely. And it's also like about accessibility and bringing that to the people who need to hear it and people who can understand it. You know what I mean? Because this is not only a message dedicated to anybody who will hear it, anybody who needs to hear it, anybody who needs the Celia Cruz healing, but it's also a message to the Latino community. And I spoke about this with Miguel. We were driving to New Hampshire, and I was just like, do you have any idea? I never thought this would be a possibility. I get to exist on stage as myself with you and be loud and be unapologetically Latina and queer. Thank you. And you don't know what that like if I had you when I was little, I would be unstoppable. You know what I mean? And like I love him so much and I admire him so much and I admire his showmanship and I admire his ability to create art during this time and to giggle, just to giggle.
Absolutely.
Everybody needs to
That's
giggle right
so
now.
important.
Giggle right now
Yeah.
or else.
I mean, we talked a little bit about it earlier, but that's part of the beauty of finding people who are like-minded, but also have found it within themselves to push through, to open a door, create a door, and hold it open for others, because that's when change starts to happen. And
Right.
I see it more and more with people creating these spaces of community that it really changes the game in every way.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And that is a community, that is a safe space. I never walk into that room stressed. I'm always like, hello, how is everybody? And Miguel is spraying his Diptyque room sprays, which I love. And I'm like, I'm smelling it, and he's like, "Are we in the like?" And it's just like, of course, like, it's so part of the gay community to be like, "Does the room smell good? Are the fluorescent lights on? Turn them off." Like, is the lighting good? Does it smell good? Are we having fun? And that's the environment that I get to walk into and celebrate and have fun and be fun and giggle. Please, giggle, giggle or else. There we go. That's our third one and final
That's the
giggle
third one.
hashtag. That's it. You only get three. That's it.
Well, I'm very excited about this show because I have heard so many incredible things, and I love the fact that it's not a one-night only thing. It's like on a little mini tour, which is even more exciting. And I'm curious, do you have
Yes,
anything else that
yes,
you're
a little mini
working
tour.
on or have coming up that you are able to share? Or things that maybe you're just working on for
That's
yourself?
such a good
Writing.
question. Honestly, things that I will share is that I'm continuing. I like took a break from writing. I took a break from writing, and I feel like in taking a break from writing, it sort of stunted my ability to sort of like internalize my emotions. So I am really excited to step back into that and rediscovering writing and not hating my writing. I feel like a lot of writers will always say this, and I will absolutely say this. I'll write something and then I'll show it to I have my book that's like been in my drafts that I'm still trying to add at least like five more poems to. And every other day or every other month I threaten to delete the whole book. And my friends are like, Adriana, do not. Like, please don't do that. And I'm like, what if I delete it? And they're like, joke's on you. I saved it to my laptop. What now? No, no. So I have my friends who are also incredible artists holding me accountable as well, which is really great. But like, really, honestly, just stepping back into that and stepping back into my own artistic voice. And yeah, that's it.
No, I think that's insanely huge and incredibly important. I used to write poetry a lot more when I was younger, and over the years, like, that stopped and slowed down. And then when I do occasionally, I feel the same way. Like I hate my stuff. I'm like, let me just put this in a file I won't look at and I'll forget about it. But it is a muscle partially, but I also think when you have that creative drive in you, when you have that connection to writing and your emotions, even if you haven't done it in a while, it will come back to you. And so I think the first step in choosing to let me dive in again is a big step. It's huge. And so I'm excited because I know what's going to come next is going to be different from what you've written before because now you have more life experiences. You've gone through other things. You're going through things now. And so I think it's a brand new chapter for you, which is really exciting.
That's exactly what I think I would be adding into. I feel like this book is probably going to be a three-part series of just like my past, present, and then what the future may hold. And that's exactly it. And I'll hold you accountable. I'm gonna message you and be like, "Are you writing poetry?"
I'm gonna do the same.
Please. I'll be
And
like,
no
"Yes, I am. Oh
deleting.
my
And
gosh,
no
I am."
deleting.
Yes, no, no deleting, no deleting, and one more giggle, and that's it. No
Yes,
more deleting and one more giggle, and that's it.
absolutely. Well, Adriana, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You're always welcome to come back and talk more about what you're up to. It's very exciting having you. If you want to see Adriana live with Miguel and many others, you can catch her on October 14th and 15th at Joe's Pub NYC or October 18th at Aventura Arts and Cultural Center, Florida. And I will post the links for tickets below. But
Yes,
thank you
please.
so much for being here.
You are amazing. I love your podcast. I love what you're doing. You are fantastic. And I am another Latina who is championing you and fighting for you. Please, please, please know that. And thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you,
that
thank you,
means the
thank you.
world. Thank you, and I'm so glad to have another friend in this community.
My dear, I adore you. I adore you. Thank
And
you.
everyone out there listening, please be inspired and keep making magic. Till next time.
Please.